Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone, and welcome to the show, right? The webinar, because this is a show. It is going to be one of the best webinars I think we have ever done, and I know it's going to be one of the best that you have ever watched. We are doing tough love and advice to channel execs from 3 successful solution providers. I am Laura Stewart, Director of Online Channel Events for SaaSmax, and it is such a pleasure to have you here today. I said good morning, afternoon, and evening because we have people watching this webinar from all over the world, all different time zones. So not knowing where you are, I like to welcome you to whatever time of the day it is. A little housekeeping. We are set for a 30-minute webinar. If we receive a lot of questions, we will keep going with the webinar until the questions have been answered. So if you do need to drop off, don't worry. We will be sending you the recording when this is over. And if you have any questions, please type them in the question pane. I will be moderating that and asking the questions that you ask of our panelists. So not to keep us delayed any further, let's just get going with the webinar. I'd like to introduce you to Clinton Gatewood, our SaaSmax channel chief, who will take over from here. Welcome, Clint.
Hey, thanks, Laura. I appreciate it. Good morning, good afternoon, good night to wherever you're at in the globe today. Really great to be here with SaaSmax and to be hosting all of you today. I'm not going to spend a lot of time myself. I've been in the channel almost 20 years and here at SaaSmax for the last 4 or 5, and really enjoying all the work that we're doing here with our vendors and with our resellers and providing some really good education. I really like this topic today that we're going to be talking about, and more tough love or really hearing from successful resellers out there on how they feel about the sales process that we as channel recruiters and channel teams take them through, and what they don't like, what they might do different about that, and why they don't like things. So I think it'll be really good as you're going into 2020 to have some of these thoughts in your brains to do some additional planning. So let's go on and start to introduce our lineup. Excuse me. So Jay, I want to start off with Jay. I've known Jay. Jay's been a great friend of mine. He was a channel partner of mine in a couple of different places that we've done a lot of work together and kind of grown into a great friendship. And that's how the channel is. It's very relationship based, and you end up being friends with people, as Laura here, who was here earlier, was also a channel partner of mine, along with Jay at the same time. So Jay, if you'd like to introduce yourself, that'd be great. Thank you.
Good day. My name's Jay Tipton. I've been running technology specialist since '98, so I've been 20 some years. I'm here just to share some information of what vendors can do better to engage with us instead of fighting with them all the time.
Great, and Jay doesn't hold any punches, so it can be fun on that. And don't forget to type your questions in as we go. I know you'll start having them as you come up, but just to remind you that. It's also my pleasure to introduce Amy Babinchak, who I know just was finally able to make it on here. So if she wants to jump on video, introduce herself. I haven't really known Amy per se very much. I think that we've met a couple times probably in the circles that we run in, but it's great to have her here today. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you.
Go ahead and introduce yourself a bit.
All right. Well, my name's Amy Babinchak. I've got an MSP called Harbor Computer Services that's been around since 2000. I also run a third tier that works with a lot of MSPs, which has been around since 2008.
Great. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. And then we have, last but not least, Michelle Hyde. I've gotten to know Michelle over the last 3 or 4 years, I think, with my work here at SaaSmax, and it's been really great getting to know her, and I'll let her introduce herself, but she's really good at what she does as well, and really understands what she needs out of her vendors, and she's going to share some of that today. So go ahead, Michelle, maybe introduce yourself just a bit.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Michelle Hyde. I'm the president and founder of Hyde Group out here in Seattle, Washington. I am a slightly different business model than my other 2 panelists here. I am a more classically defined as an agent. However, I have a large consulting practice in my organization as well. And I target enterprise level organizations that have a global reach.
Great, thanks, Michelle. So one of the things that we wanted to start out just real quick and talking about is, as there's more and more SaaS vendors out there, and I think you're going to put up the first poll here, Laura, but as more and more SaaS vendors come out, there's just software is really proliferating itself, And there's more and more pressure. Everyone wants to go after MSPs. Everyone wants to go after MSSPs or agents, and everyone's like out there reaching out to them and calling them and sending them information. And I think there's more pressure put on solution providers today and resellers and agents from the inbound quantity of people that want to partner with you. And thought maybe we would start off with that particular topic today. And Amy, do you want to start off with that and just talk about, how busy are you with all the calls you're getting and the quantity of calls? Maybe talk a little bit about that.
You can see from my face there, I would say I get about 300 emails a day from people wanting me to sell their product, providing me information about their product, giving me news updates about the industry that they think will be helpful, that it's just a tidal wave of information that there's no way that I can consume it. And so, yeah, we are overwhelmed here with information out here in the channel, and which means that we end up being really picky about what it is that we actually end up reading. And unfortunately, most of the information that the channel puts out, we have to ignore.
Yeah, sure. It gets to be information overload. Even myself working here, just that people are reaching out to me. And there's probably a lot of channel members that are going to understand this real quick. The people on the channel teams, I'm getting reached out and pounded all the time for people that want to do lead generation for me, or they want to do phone calls for me. They're just hitting me up like all the time, and it's a little bit of the same. But I think you're getting hit up way more. Jay, do you want to address how you feel about this piece and how much how busy is it for you on that term?
Like Amy, I get almost 4,000 emails a day. That's coming through the spam filter. Now, most of those are going right to my deleted or junk folder because they're not needed. But, it's just too much. You just can't follow up with every email that comes in. And you've got these people that, oh, we talked last week. And it's like, no. So, or they call in and talk to my office manager and goes, well, I talked to Jay last week and he wanted to talk to me. No. Those things just instantly take them off the list.
Yeah. Well, and probably those 4,000 emails, to be fair, probably aren't all from vendors, but
no, probably about 500, 300, somewhere in there.
Yeah. And I think you had mentioned too that you get like 5 to 10 or more calls a week, just people calling the office to take up your time and talk to you.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. It's probably about 5 to 10 or about 10 to 15 a week. And
I think the channel is getting more desperate to try to reach us, right? I mean, they realize that they're not reaching us because of our information overload. And so we're now starting to get these obnoxious phone calls, obnoxious emails that say, hey, they're sending us scheduled meeting invites for somebody we don't even know, never talked to, whatever, here's the meeting invite, I'll see you at 9. It's like, no, you won't.
Yep.
Sorry.
And I would say that, with I have over 300 vendors that I have been working with over the last 10 years of my business. And there's just no way that I could handle seeing, talking to, and the flood of emails, webinars, newness, new channel manager introductions, and meeting requests, and all those good things. It's an insurmountable amount of information. And it kind of is part and parcel to the fact that a lot of these companies have no idea who I am or the type of clients that I sell to. And so half of those products are not even a fit for me. So doing that due diligence to really understand who I am and who I sell to and how I position my products and the like. So.
Sure, no, excellent. And I think that kind of leads into the second topic here. I just wanted to get everyone a sense of just how much information you're getting and how many people want to partner with you, and why it's so important and what can they do to really break through all this. What is it going to take them to actually reach you and to get you to partner with them? And I think, this next topic here, I kind of just wrote down is, let's talk about how, you all feel about the different aspects of the initial partnership sales process being utilized by vendors to reach you today. It's not just the phone calls. Michelle, you started to talk a little bit about it, that you're, and Jay, I know you want to talk a bit more about it too. And then there's other topics you want to talk about within this big topic that people are calling and they don't know anything about you. And I'll let you all pick that up here in a second, but I just want to, we want to understand what those turnoffs are. Why does it turn you off? And how would you do some of these things better? Let's not just throw issues out there, but how might they do things better in your area? So, and I think Michelle, Michelle, I think we had you set up for this one to talk first. So kick us off.
Yeah, absolutely. So really, it's important to have a compelling plan when you call on any client. And if you're calling on me as a prospective client of yours, it's important that you know who I am, who I sell to, where I sell, the type of products I sell, and the approach that I have to the marketplace. And so if you don't have those information components and those data points, it really is winging it. And that's not a really good way to launch a relationship when trying to sell your product, is just by winging it. So.
Yeah, so and it's more though than just as some of the things that you're saying, and we'll continue to move forward here. But it's also about it's not just about looking at your website for 5 minutes or your LinkedIn profile. Maybe talk a bit more about the depth of that. I mean, how would they learn more about that than just? And I know a lot of people just will look at. A lot of people don't even look at LinkedIn or websites anymore when they're trying to call you ahead of time. But
Yeah.
how do they understand more about you before they call you?
So I've done a pretty decent job, and hopefully I'm not getting feedback here, a pretty decent job of articulating the type of clientele that I go after on my website and through my LinkedIn. So that actually is a really good starting point to get a familiarity with who I am. And also, oftentimes I have a tendency to work through distribution, some of the master agencies that are there, and SaaSmax included in that, that the suppliers can learn about about how I sell and who I sell to, and my approach and my style by way of my master agency too. They can do the matchmaking for me and only put forth suitable providers that really are going to cater to my suite.
Sure, excellent. And Jay, do you want to go next on this one?
Oh, cool. Well, the thing is they're not taking a time to get to know us, get to know what we do. Like Michelle said, go out to our websites, look at it, and read it. Don't just say, "Yep, I looked at their site, so I'm going to call them." And our product's a perfect fit, and it'll fit every one of their clients, because it doesn't. This industry is not a cookie cutter. I don't care what anybody says. You can't go out and take product A and push it on every single client, because it won't work.
Yeah, and there are a lot of competitors in the space too.
Yeah, they're not taking the time to get to know us. They're not taking the time to try to. They just want to say, "Here's my product. Sign up for this demo." And I'll be honest, you send me a link to sign up for a webinar, 99% of the time it's not going to get looked at unless I know the person. It's a lot of what I do is with people I know, and not because this is the greatest whiz bang thing and everybody needs it.
Exactly. Amy, do you want to tag on to that?
Well, I've had some recent experiences with different vendors, and the ones that are approaching it in the best way are the ones that approach it on a more personal level. So the more personal you can make it, the better. So, for example, I had I'm going to call it a run-in because the sales call went that badly. With a vendor that I wanted to talk to, but when I got them on the line and showed up for the meeting, they had no clue who I was. They didn't even know if the product lines were available in my area. They were completely unprepared for the meeting, and so just being prepared is a thing. But I would suggest this, right? Most small partners like ourselves are very, very loyal to our vendors. So if you look in your vendor pool and you see that I'm selling 40, 50, 60, I've got, 70 clients for my MSP. Right? If I'm selling 40, 50, 60 of something of yours and you have another product, I am much more likely to look at that because I'm already a loyal partner of yours. And so 40 may not seem, like a big fish for you, but know that it's a very loyal fish and you can build on that loyalty. And so I think that's an opportunity that I see being missed a lot in the channel, that they're always looking for that new person. But tagging on, really focusing on loyal customers, I think would go a long ways to making the channel a more friendly place.
Yeah, you just saw the poll there, so that was pretty interesting. Even 25% of people are like, "Yeah, my product's good for everybody. Why wouldn't you sell it?"
Good for everybody, yeah. The thing is, though, we've got to measure out, right? We sit here in the middle between the channel and the end customer, and we're the middle, right? So you have to sell us on your product. We have to then turn around and sell your product to our customer, and it has to fit in with the overall vision that we have for our clients. And we already have that vision. You're not going to convince us to change that vision. You have to fit into the vision that we already have for that customer. And the cloud's a wonderful thing, but all of it is $5.99 or $9.99 a month, and clients do have a finite limit of how many of those things that we can tack in. That's why we have to be picky.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
We have two questions.
Add more to that, either one of you, Jay or Michelle. I mean, it's it's really about alignment and understanding what your alignment is before you call someone and before you start talking to them. Is your business model aligned with the type of company that you're calling? It's not so much I'm calling Michelle or I'm calling Amy, but what is it that the company does and how does it generate its revenue? What's its business model with their clients and what are the type of clients? It's more about what the business does. You're trying to match with the business.
Yeah, I think that that sales approach, how I approach my customers is very different than a lot of folks that are my peers in the marketplace. Not only am I upmarket compared to a lot of my peers, but I also am not transactional. I have probably 50% of my business comes from scope of work on consulting. So it's not just about product placement. I'm not a slinger of technology per se. I am a business consultant that talks about the client's business initiatives and what they hope to achieve, and then we marry technology to that. And so it's about finding the right solution. And so I don't have a lot of critical mass worth of services with any one particular vendor because every single opportunity is peppered with 15 different services. And so as Amy had indicated, that cross-selling and upselling to existing customers is really vital. So having a roadmap, those suppliers really need to have a roadmap, and they have to do really good work because in the event that their product isn't, exemplary, it's egg on my face, and it's a reflection of me and the recommendations that I'm making to my clients, and they seem to be kind of absolved from hearing that and understanding that.
Sure. Yeah. And so why don't you just refer your clients to somebody and let them help you close it up? Anybody?
Because they'll push whatever the product of the day is and not care about what the client really needs.
Well, there's a disconnect, right? So when the channel is approaching us, it's a salesperson. They have quotas to make. They need us to sell their products so that they can be successful. However, if we're a really good MSP and good at what we do, we are not salespeople, right? So I have no sales staff. I have no pipeline. They need to understand that those things don't exist in my business. What I have are clients with needs, with business problems, with certain dreams and desires for their business that I'm helping them achieve. And the product has to fit with that to make sense. I don't really care what your spiff of the day is if the product doesn't matter. You're not going to entice me by telling me that, oh, normal, people are selling our product at a 50% margin. It's like, I don't really care about that.
Yeah.
That's one of the things they don't take into account. They come with all these spiff programs and create all these flaming hoops you have to jump through to get them, and I don't have time for it. Won't worry about the spiff and just take care of my clients.
Yeah, it's not aligned with the initiative, right? I mean, if I'm here to be doing good work for my clients, a spiff is an incentivizer that could sway me to do something that I wouldn't want to do for my own gain, I guess. So, and a lot of times I think that people in the channel are missing the fact that their product is seated among 5 or 6 other initiatives that are also contingent on the client remedying those other areas in order to be able to buy their product. And so understanding the sales process is really, really key. So if the channel managers that I'm working with don't have the aptitude in the sales environment, are not consultative, don't understand where they're seated at the table, and the timelines associated with it, it makes it really hampered to try to do business with them.
Sure. And moving on to like a little bit on the other portion. So now I got my door, I open up the door. I'm the vendor, I'm talking to you, and I've impressed you so far, and we're moving forward. I think what everyone has to remember is that whenever they first call you as a vendor wanting you to sell their product and wanting you to work with them, is you're interviewing them. They're not interviewing you whether you're a good fit. They want you, right? But you don't know if you want them, and you're really the one doing the interview. And I think a lot of vendors don't think of it that way. Is that they're looking to hire you basically as a salesperson or someone that's working within their industry, but you're also looking at them saying, why would I want to work for you? Why would I want to work with you or for you or sell your product? So you're the one, you're connoisseurs of reseller programs. You've seen tons of them, and you know what you want from a company, what you need to be successful with a company. So as you're going through your interview processes with these vendors that are calling you up, they don't even know they're being queried, actually, in most cases. What are you looking for? So once the doors open, what's attractive to you within the channel program? What's attractive to you in the things that you need to be successful? And Jay, I think we haven't started with you on anything yet, have we?
Oh, that's a good thing.
I think we'll start with you. Yeah, usually that is a good thing. I've got to know that over the last 15 years, but I'm going to risk it, and I'm going to go with you first. So you're up.
They've got to remember we don't have time to sit there and spend hours and hours on webinars. I'm looking for a partner that's going to, be there for the good and the bad. And a lot of times they're there for the good times, and as soon as you have an issue, they run. We'll need some hand holding. Okay, I can't send every person in my company to go to your training. I can't close the company down to sit on your webinars. In fact, webinars are very bad for me because of my ADD. If you haven't noticed, my mind's jumping all over the place. So it's not an insult to anybody, but I can't sit there for 25, 30 minutes on a webinar and pay attention.
But don't be the one that's presenting on it and pay attention, right? I'm trying to hold my thumb on you a little bit.
That won't work. But the big things is have patience, because just because we set up a call, we're running a business. We don't always have control of our calendar. Something will happen that we have to run out the door to go fix. Be ready for lots of questions. Demos, I don't like paying for demos. If you want us to sell your product, give us a license for in-house use, let us beat it up. We're not looking for support to install and everything else. It's nice, but we need to be hands-on with it in order to know how it works, in order to sell it.
Sure. You sell what you're comfortable with, and what you're comfortable with is what you use.
Correct.
So, Amy, do you want to jump in on this particular piece? And we're going to jump into questions here real quick. So if you and Michelle could just be real brief on this piece, we'll move on to questions because there's some really good questions there. So
Yeah, I would say that, I pick my vendors based on support. Number one thing is, what is my support experience going to be like and when this goes sideways? Because at some point it will. And so that's the number one way that I choose my vendors, is how am I going to be supported? What are my avenues in? If am I going to call a general support line and be the 53rd person in line and hang on the phone for 2 hours to talk to somebody, or wait for 3 days to get a response back from their online form? That really doesn't work for me. I need to know that I have really good support avenues that recognize me as a channel partner, and recognize that when I call them, I'm calling them with a real issue, not something that would be easily solved. So that's my number one thing when picking a vendor. So yeah, and everything that Jay said as well, but that's the piece I would add onto there.
Great.
Yeah. And similar to Amy, I would say that the product and the service have to be spot on. They have to be well built. They have to be well executed, well supported, well understood within the body of their organization, so that I can actually, they can make me look smarter in front of my client. And then secondarily, so this two-part answer for me is the sales and products enablement, and then the second is the enablement, the go-to-market strategy. So if you are going to market and you want to sell your product, you have to have a plan. I'm going to be part of that plan, and I like to have all the materials in which you're using as well. So I want the A/B testing in the marketing. I want the curated content. I want any of the downloadable stuff. I want the infographics, the webinars, all that stuff, so that I can be enabled to actually issue that to my clientele as well. And has to be co-branded. So, and it just has to have a well thought out, fully embraced channel program.
Great, excellent. I want to thank all of you for being on here today. I think it's great information. We're going to jump into questions here, and that's why Laura's come back on. Just real quick, just about SASMAX real quick is, at the end of the day, what we do is we work with a lot of different vendors on channel insights and channel discovery, and really understanding how to grade your partners, how to grade prospects, how to grade companies. At the end of the day, we DNA profile resellers like the ones we have here, and we look at their digital footprints, their websites. We pull back and correlate a bunch of information and a bunch of statistics, like the different products you're selling, and like what you were talking about, Michelle, getting to know you. So we pull all that information in and are able to work with vendors to come up with what the DNA profile is great for their product, and to match them with the right resellers. So that's really what we do. But this is more about the topic we have going on here. There's some really great questions I saw in here, Laura, so have at it.
All right, so anybody that needs to drop off, know that we will get this recording to you with these questions, because we have some amazing questions. The first question for the speakers: do each of you have a set limited number of go-to providers? Do you solicit like an RFP for new trusted providers?
I'll
When
take
I'm
that
looking
one.
at a new product,
Oh,
I'm normally looking to solve a problem. And so, no, I don't go out and send out RFPs to 40 people. I go out and do some research, look at the product that will fit their need the best, and then contact them. If it's somebody that I've talked to before, I've got emails going back to 2006, so I'm one of those hoarders. I use up lots of ones and zeros. So, that's how I go about looking for a new provider.
Okay. Michelle, you had something?
yes, I would say that a two-part answer here. Yes, I do have lead partners that I work with that are premier offerings that are very rich in their roadmap and willing to customize with my customers' requirements. So I do have lead providers that I work with. And then secondarily, my expectation is that since I work through distribution and master agencies, my expectation is that those things have been vetted very well, and that they are the right suitors for the marketplace, and then I can balance that against requirements gathered with the client. So at that point, I create that matchmaking based on a kind of down selected field of suppliers.
Amy, anything you'd like to interject? I saw you shaking your head, yes.
I'm just gonna agreeing with what they're saying. We do not issue RFPs, but we do, research and go out and find them on our own before making any contact.
Okay. The next question that came in, Clint, you're going to love this one. Do any of the speakers have a standardized way of rating or grading vendors that engage with them, either proactive or reactive? A scorecard, documented checklist, and if you do, can you share the criteria by which you make your decisions, or is it based on gut?
Well, as I'll start, because as I mentioned a few minutes ago, I'm really making my decision on, well, I'm first doing the research, right, and coming up with my short list. And we recently did this. We decided to change our remote access and management tool. So I made my short list and then contacted them and said, hey, we want to do some trial with you. And that met with success with some, and others that said, yeah, we don't do that, So that they cut themselves off of our short list. Then I'm looking at, I'm really looking at I've looked at first the feature set, and then the second thing after I'm looking at that feature set after we've really narrowed it down and say, okay, we think we really like this, but what does our support experience look like? And that is my process for everything that we do. Whatever, if it's a client need we're fulfilling or one of our own needs, is how well does it fit? What's my support process?
Michelle, Jay,
Yeah,
either one of you?
I'll take that as well. So the criteria that I use typically is those companies that are aligned in the market segment in which I'm targeting and the sales strategy that aligns with me. So a lot of folks that I work with are very transactional. That's not how I sell whatsoever. And so in that case, they're not as aligned with me. And so in those instances, I choose to work with those that are a little more sophisticated in how they go to market, and I have to balance the provider mix by my client requirements. So everything is gathered through very, very detailed assessments with the client, and then from there I do some matchmaking based on those requirements, and then I vet and interview those suppliers and shortlist from there.
Jay?
A lot of it is, like I said, research, try their product out, you call their support, see what it's like. I don't use a scorecard or anything like that, but it's normally 3 strikes and you're out. I don't have time to sit there and try to help somebody fix their support on how to work better with us. Some vendors I will. I'll take the time because I like their product that much to take the time to help them. But, if they're not going to do a demo, they're not going to do take the time to help us learn and make sure we know the product, then yeah, I don't have time for them.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of the responses that the team here and the panelists have sent to me, and some of them are like a whole article could be written. They do have criteria that they're going through and they're walking through. They may not express it here, and it may not be like a written checklist that they're necessarily going down, but there are certain things that they're looking at within the sales enablement. Support's a big one, especially for Amy and Jay. Not that it isn't for Michelle, but Amy and Jay, when they pick a product as an MSP, it's got to be supported extremely well because that's their livelihood. They're account management companies. That's what they do. Michelle's more on, she's not necessarily doing managed services, and she's much more on professional services and just consulting and stuff, and passes that through. But it still has to be a great product that she knows her clients are going to love, or she can't take it in there because she won't get more business. So they do have criteria there. It's just not like a formal written piece out like I do. So Laura, we're going to take a couple more here. I know we're going long, but I think this is really good. A lot of you are staying on. It's good information to have, Laura, and panelists. If you need to go, I understand as well. But we'll just take another 2 or 3 minutes here, maybe 1 or 2 more questions. Laura?
Okay. I love this one because I have literally done this when I had my MSP. Do you quickly ask to replace bad channel managers or suffer in silence and stop using the vendor?
I don't suffer in silence, but I'll replace the vendor.
Yeah, I'm no shrinking violet, as it turns out. So I'm pretty vocal.
We try to be local, but honestly, it generally the end result is the vendor ends up getting replaced.
Okay.
Laura,
All
what's
right.
your experience on that? Because I know you were an MSP as well, and we're a partner of mine. So what's your experience on that? What
I
would you do?
have spoken to channel managers myself first, and if we could not come to an agreement in a way that we can work together, I have asked for them to be replaced. And if the vendor is unwilling to do that, then as Jay and Michelle and Amy, time to move on, because if they're not willing to work with me, there is always another vendor selling a product that I can probably work with.
Okay.
And
Okay.
my side of the coin here is that those channel managers end up leaving like sales folks in an organization probably every 18 to 24 months. And so it works itself out oftentimes.
Okay, another question that's come in. We have several really good ones I want to make sure we get to. If webinars are too time consuming to learn about a product and become comfortable with a vendor, then what is the most effective way to communicate the message and get you trained?
Oh, I'll start this one.
Of course you will.
Oh, I brought it up, so I figured I'd go. Some of the best ways is, get the product in our hands. There's no other way to learn it. A webinar is not going to teach me that if during the install this happens, I need to do this. That you only learn that with using it and working on it. A lot of my work that I do at night most of the work that I do looking at new products is at night. So no, I can't, if your tech support's open 8 to 5 Central Time, you're probably not going to be a good fit because I can't get a hold of you during those times when I'm working on it. I just don't do well with webinars.
It sounds like you need a two-way conversation, Jay. You need to be able to have access to the person doing the training and letting you run it and actually get your hands on it for it to work the best way for you and your company.
Correct. I don't need somebody to hold my hand. If we run into an issue or a question, having that ability to call and get it answered.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to gotta disagree a little bit with Jay because I do watch a lot of webinars and I do find them valuable, and I will take time out to watch them if something has really piqued my interest. And the things that are going to pique my interest are generally not the kind of webinars where you're just going to go through the feature set of your product. Right, but what is going to pique my initial interest, right? If we're talking about a vendor that I don't know, is if they're going to tell me something about the industry that I don't understand yet, or that is how they fit into a hot issue that's going on. At this point, when I'm going to that webinar for a new vendor that I don't know, I want to hear more about what they know about the industry than I do about the product on that initial introduction. If I'm then interested in what they have to say, then I will look for other usually recorded webinars, opportunity to to make contact with their salespeople, their channel folks to find out more about the specific product. But really the first thing that I want to know is, why are they in this industry and what is it they're trying to do and why do I have to pay attention to that?
Okay.
I would say, again, I have a slightly different business model, and I really do need to see from my channel managers true engagement in my business, understanding my business, my initiatives, and co-selling with me to achieve the goal. And so really entrenching themselves into my business is a really good fit, and align with me and go to market with me on this. And it's not a one-hit wonder. It's not a one webinar and I suddenly can now sell your stuff like hotcakes. It's a case where I want to see much more from you. I want to do marketing campaigns. I want to do events together. I want to align together and come to the marketplace with a full suite of offerings for my client to see that are premier offerings. So it's not a case of just a webinar here and there. It's not going to trip the trigger. just won't.
Okay, we have 2 more questions. Thank you, everybody who's still staying on the webinar, and for those who are just listening to this in recording, thanks for listening to the recording. Okay, okay, I did that one already. What about business development funds for demand gen, marketing, but also training? I see Michelle excited about this one. But also training, support resources, funded heads, etc. Where does economics factor in to you picking a vendor and these other pieces? What matters the most? What would you like to see that you're not seeing?
Yeah. Let's not forget in that list, leads. I mean, those folks most suppliers are marketing in these different regions. So if you know you have interest and inquiry in those particular marketplaces, it's important to align them with the agents that are in that marketplace so that you can actually close those deals. It's shouldn't be a secret. It should be an opportunity to close business. So, but the marketing dollar funds certainly come in handy when you want to host an event and then continue to do campaigning afterwards. It's again, you can't just do one event. You can't just do one email, one webinar and expect it to stick. It needs to be done in a campaign over a long period of time because buyers fade in and out, and they have their projects that come up, a month from now or 6 months from now, and so they still need to be hearing from you. So it's about consistency.
Jay or Amy?
Well, typically, all those MDF funds and lead generation tools and all of those things turn out to be out of reach for us because we don't sell enough of their product to qualify for any of them. And, that's kind of unfortunate. I know you got to target your dollars to where you think you're going to get the best return. But, as I mentioned before, if you have a 40 client MSP who's sold 40 of your licenses, you're probably tapped out there, but you have the opportunity to co-sell them into new things. And that can actually help grow their business. So you could find that synergy there. But a lot of those, most of those programs are out of reach for the small partners. So I don't get a lot of return. Now, sometimes what I do is even if your program isn't listing anything, because we'll usually do 1 or 2 events a year to generate new customers, and I will contact my vendors and say, hey, is there anything you can do to help us out? And I would say, 9 out of 10 of them will say, nope, nothing we can do. And then, the other ones, might kick in a little something here and there to help us. And that's part of the, we're loyal to them. We're looking for a little bit something back from you as well. And as far as the margins and stuff go, I do like to see some ability for us to make some margin off the product, even though we're not a product pusher. We're not a sales organization. But I need to have a little bit there so that I can afford to bill my client for your product, right? So I mean that pays for my back end billing side of thing. If I can get 12 or 20% off of your product, that lets me actually covers my billing costs. Don't consider myself to actually be making money at that point. We make money off of our service. Your product helps us provide a better, well-rounded service to our clients.
Jay,
Yeah,
anything you'd like to add?
the funded heads, I've never seen that happen. We're not big enough. Even when I was doing almost 3 million a year with medical clients, it never worked out. Leads are nice. I've never used some of these sites that our vendors have put together for leads. The marketing stuff. I'm not a marketing person. I'm not a salesperson. I go out and solve. If I'm at our clients, I'm there to solve a problem. If I get called into a new client, I'm there to solve a problem. So, we'll have events once in a while, which is nice to have it supported by vendors. We've done it without them. You know, if they want to, great. We'll ask them. If we get turned down twice, we won't ask them again, and they'll probably go down a little bit farther in our shelves of what we're selling, because they're not willing to go out and meet with our clients or help us meet and greet with new clients. They're just there for us to give them money.
Okay, and I appreciate all of you guys staying on board. There's one last question, and I think it's an interesting one that just came in. Does demonstrating recent wins make a difference to you? And if we're a new vendor that you've probably never heard of, and you may not get through email or phone, how do we communicate with you that we have a product you might be interested in?
I just started using a new product that is basically for security, and it logs what people are doing on their machines. This was a new vendor. I don't know quite how old they are, but you know, I found them on the web, along with like 4 others. Did some research, looked at a couple demos. You know, it's just, we're so limited on our time and our availability, it makes it rough. But you know, I don't really have a good answer for them, because I do research. So that's how I find new products.
Yeah, and I work through distribution. So in that case, these master agencies have to understand who I am so that they can communicate to the suppliers exactly who the right fit is. And Michelle sells out of the Pacific Northwest. She has a global reach. Most of her clients have global footprint, and she is at market in the $100 million to $600 million annual revenue type of class. So some products are like, whoa, we're not that. And so there's some leverage that you should be able to ascertain from these vendors, or excuse me, from the master agencies, about who I am and how I sell. And if it's the right fit, then we kind of do an interview. Plus, I think that we have all the channel events that happen, certainly channel partners twice a year. And then the master agencies have their events that they host throughout the year and throughout the country. So there's lots of exposure that we get, and we have to keep apprised of those things. But if I have 20 or 25 different security offerings, sometimes it gets lost in the shuffle too.
For me, I think that social media works really well for new vendors to sort of become in my sphere. And again, what I'm looking for from them is not ads. What I'm looking for is somebody shows up in a community that I'm a member of, and they start sharing information. And I will, learn that they work for a particular vendor. And, this person is quite knowledgeable. They're really, sharing their interest in the community. I can see, as I mentioned before, that their product is solving some problem that my clients have, or they're onto some, new hot issue. Then that piques my interest and causes me to take a look at that new vendor.
Yeah,
Right.
a lot of customer inquiry.
Yeah, for me, it's about education. It's what do they have to say? I guess I'm interested in their product, but only if they really have something that they're trying to say to the market. And what is it, as a person who produced a product to sell, what are you trying to say to the market? Why should I be interested in what your message is? There's a reason why your company decided to develop this product. They're trying to solve something. What is it that you're really trying to do other than push your product on me?
Yeah.
Okay, Clint, why don't you close us up? That's the last of the questions.
Sure, fantastic. I thank everybody that stayed on here, especially our panelists that have stayed here for so long and stayed on longer to hear everything, and so we can capture this in audio as well and recording, so that everyone can get some really good education. And this is one of those educational events that we like to put on and help our clients, our vendors, and other channel executives out there learn more about the industry and things that they can be doing and how they're viewed from that standpoint. So it's great being here. Again, Michelle, Jay, Amy, thank you very much for being here. Laura, as always, thank you very much. And we'll tie that up and have a good day, everybody.